Imagine for the moment it's January 18th, 1871, and you're a French farmer working in the countryside. Wait, no, come back, I swear I'm going somewhere with this. My point is, for the people of France especially, but also everyone across Europe and beyond, this is the day the world changed forever. Your life and the lives of your countrymen would never be the same again. Why? Well, the day before, your country of France was theoretically at least the most powerful in continental Europe. It had the largest population excluding Russia, the largest economy, and one of, if not the, most powerful armies. But today, January 18th, none of that is true anymore. Because right across your western borders, a new empire has declared itself. And if it's not already obvious, the next few decades will make it abundantly clear. This new nation, the one styling itself Germany, is the new European superpower. It's hard to imagine something like this taking place in our own modern era. A new country coming almost out of nowhere to immediately challenge the supremacy of the United States. Or some other big single event that can dramatically change the worldwide situation and divide your life into a before and an after. Hard to imagine, but not impossible.
It spans the globe like a superhighway. It is called Internet.
Critics say one danger is this could turn out to be an elitist system, one available only to people with a computer and a modem.
Depending on where and when you were born into this world, chances are you're going to experience a few events like this, maybe 3 or 4 big ones over the course of your life. These events can be harmful, disruptive, even terrifying, or maybe positive and somehow beneficial to you. But regardless, they shake the foundations you thought your life had. They can reshape your perspective, test your resilience, and alter the course of your life's journey. But above all, they shatter your sense of security and stability. But now I want you to imagine that you're living in the reality known across the multiverse as Earth 616 in the late 2000s. You're sitting down, watching TV, and are astonished to see that billionaire Tony Stark has just revealed to the world that he is Iron Man. This is not a life-changing event for you. It's weird and perhaps a little concerning, but you're still able to live your life like you did before. But as the months and years go by, you start seeing more and more strange things in the news. A nuclear physicist and biochemist at Calgary University in Virginia turns into a giant green monster and goes on a rampage. That's kinda scary, but probably not life-changing. Then Tony Stark is back in the news again. His race car got cut in half at the historic Grand Prix in Monaco by some guy with laser whips on his arms. That can't be right. And then that same guy uses an army of flying Iron Man knockoffs to attack the Stark Expo in New York? How could this happen? But you know, all these things are happening in some other part of the world, and your life is still pretty much the same, so you try to put it out of your mind. But then you start hearing some even weirder stuff coming out of New Mexico. Some government organization is trying to keep this suppressed, but apparently, not only are the Norse gods real, but one of them destroyed a town while fighting another giant robot, this one powered by magic. Now at this point, you should really start to worry, because if this is true, the implications are enormous. Religious beliefs, scientific understanding, societal norms, none of these can stay the same in a world where gods and magic now exist. But you barely have time to grapple with that before New York is attacked by aliens that came out of a giant portal in the sky, only to be stopped by Tony Stark, that huge green physicist, government assassins, Thor, the god of thunder, and Captain America, who's apparently back from the dead. You might have tried to deny it before, but your old life is over. You now live in a world where all these things exist and can interrupt your life at any time. How can you possibly process all this? The fact that aliens exist alone and they're apparently hostile would be the single most important event in the history of— Oh, we gotta worry about that later. The president was almost assassinated, and apparently the vice president was in on it. The implications of this are enormous. The level of corruption necessary for such a thing— Oh wait, we gotta deal with that later, because some dark elves just attacked London. Is that right? Where did those dark elves— Okay, no time to think about that. A fleet of flying aircraft carriers almost Oh, hold on. Another robot just tried to turn an entire city into a meteor.
Crisis alert! A tsunami has hit Vietnam! Massive flooding has
alert!
left
Famine in Ghana!
Crisis alert!
Tuberculosis outbreak!
Crisis alert!
There's a type of trauma called crisis fatigue that refers to the sense of helplessness, exhaustion, apathy, and emotional strain that develops as the result of prolonged exposure to a continuous series of challenging circumstances. People can begin to feel detached from their own lives, and the symptoms can be extremely harmful. By this point, though, it feels like everyone in Earth 616 would have developed some variation of this. So when half the universe's population is disintegrated by an interstellar godlike despot, does it really even matter anymore? Even if you hadn't been directly affected until now by all these new things, your worldview must have been shattered so many times. What's one more? Wouldn't it just be easier to give up and accept this new reality? accept that your own decisions, actions, and thoughts have become inconsequential. The world is too unpredictable and unstable now. Even if it had only ever been an illusion, at least before there was the sense that the world had a solid foundation, something to give you security and purpose. But that's gone, and it gets harder and harder to remember what life was like before with every passing moment. And this series of life-shattering events is not slowing down. Instead, it's accelerating. A new African superpower with an unstable political system, Chinese mythological creatures, multiverse full of different versions of yourself, giant space things. We've gotten to the point where who cares if there's a giant statue in the middle of the ocean? And I know we all like to think that if we ended up in Earth 616, we'd be the guy with the awesome suit of armor, or the supernatural powers, or the godlike abilities. But chances are, you'd be doing essentially what you're doing now. Except you get to live in a world where no truths are self-evident, and all men are no longer created equal. Governments and institutions are powerless, and your only hope is that this new upper class of beings, beyond oversight and without limits, will take care of you. And where once, maybe, you might have been able to convince yourself that at least these people had in some way earned their powers, that they had either the intellect, judgment, or merit to be worthy of them, that is no longer the case, if it ever was at all. Now you have a teenager with the cosmic powers of the Nur dimension, and another one that can grow to gigantic size, and another one really good at shooting arrows. Actually, that last one isn't so bad, but you get my point. Now we have essentially children being given these same godlike powers, and you can only cross your fingers that they have the emotional maturity to handle them. You have to hope that they had someone in their formative years who taught them that with great power comes the immense burden of accountability and the obligation to wield that power judiciously as it carries the potential to shape and impact the lives of others in profound and far-reaching ways. There's probably a more succinct way to phrase that. And the fact that all these people with supernatural abilities have been gifted them from many different sources makes it even more troubling. Say what you want about that other reality, the one with Vought International and the Seven. It might be horrifying, but at least there's only one thing to worry about. Compound V. No magic, no aliens, no interdimensional travel. And while Homelander might be a psychopath, at least there's only one of them, and your chances of running into him are essentially non-existent.
Get that thing out of my face.
Oh, right. I keep forgetting I did run into them at DragonCon a few years ago. Or was I? Oh, right. Even in the grim darkness of the far future, there is a foundation. That foundation might be horrifying beyond the capacity for rational thought. It might far exceed even the darkest aspects of Earth 616 to an exponential degree, but you know what you're getting. Hostile Xenos and the corruption of the warp. There is at least some level of certainty in what might annihilate humanity. In 616, who knows what tomorrow will bring? Vampires, mutants, interdimensional despots, it could be anything. Because in Earth 616, every year, every month, and every day is gradually turning into January 18th, 1871, which to me at least makes it the worst place to be alive. What you just watched is the pilot episode for a new series we're calling The Worst Place to Be Alive, where we investigate the places from across alternate worlds where you would never want to find yourself, both the expected and unexpected. This is the last of 4 new shows we're releasing this week, and the polls are now open. If you'd like The Worst Place to Be Alive, or the previous new shows, to become regular additions to the Templin Institute, a pledge of $2 on our Patreon will get you a vote. You'll find a link to the poll in the description below.